It's one of my least favorite things. In theory, I do love the caucus structure of the DSA because it's infinitely more democratic, but in practice it annoys me and I become a Stalinist. It's good to keep things, it's good to keep internal divisions internal, okay? It's fine if you're going to constantly engage in critique and constantly engage in, we'll get into it. Zohran Mamdani himself is expected to attend the New York City DSA endorsement meeting tonight and advocate against endorsing Chi Ossé. So, HasanAbi head Chi Ossé is making waves, okay? He has decided to unseat Hakeem Jeffries. And let's get into it because I think that's a significant issue to talk about. For those of you who don't know, Chi Ossé, who I've had on the broadcast before, who was also, ironically enough, part Chinese himself. That's not even a joke, literally, if you remember. He has decided to run against Hakeem Jeffries. As far as I understand, the DSA is actually pretty on board, or at least certain caucuses are pretty on board with Chi running against Hakeem Jeffries. But unfortunately, this is a massive, a massive internal division within the DSA, or not even just within the DSA, but within the left flank of the party. And I will give you both sides on this because I completely understand both sides' position on this issue, and I will explain it to you. So, DSA overall is very split over Ossé. Yeah, part of the reason why I think DSA is partially split over Chi Ossé is because he has gone back and forth on being a part of the DSA. And that's the reason why they think like, oh, he's not a real one. Zohran is also now officially the highest prize that the New York DSA has achieved, right? And that's also another reason why the DSA is split on this issue. He's also a YIMBY opportunist. Stop. But basically, Chi thinks that he can unseat Hakeem Jeffries. It's not an easy race at all. You might be thinking, what do you mean, Hasan? Hakeem Jeffries is nationally very unpopular. Well, that doesn't really matter in his district because Hakeem Jeffries' district has two different demographic slots. Okay? You have the older black voting bloc that is very pro Hakeem Jeffries, and Hakeem Jeffries is very popular in his district. Okay? He is he is the leader of the Democratic Party as a black man from his own district. Like, of course, that is very important for a lot of people, and he is very popular in his district for that reason. And then there's also like the what Hakeem Jeffries calls the gentrifiers, right? The people who have moved into the district, younger, college educated, diverse. Those people are much more malleable and much more excited about endorsing or voting for Chi and primarying out Hakeem Jeffries, but they are not as large of a population in his district as the older established black voter base is, the base that is firmly committed to Hakeem Jeffries. Okay? And I've been thinking about this quite a bit. As far as Chi's position on this, he says, we have to unseat as many establishment Democrats as possible because if we do not do that, they will, no matter what they say and do right now, they will always do everything in their power to the left. And he's right. He is absolutely right. Okay? He's not wrong. He is completely correct on this. What? But didn't the black community turn against AIPAC? You are not thinking clearly if you think that like the older black voters don't value Hakeem Jeffries' position within the Democratic Party as someone from their neighborhood to a much higher prioritization, to a much higher degree than like giving a shit about AIPAC. In any case, the reason why there's a tremendous division here is because obviously Zohran Mamdani, AOC, and many others are trying to play it very safe. They don't want to rock the boat for two reasons. One, they don't want to create too much discontent towards the left flank by going after the highest target because Hakeem Jeffries is the leader, okay? He is the minority leader in the House of Representatives. He is Nancy Pelosi's replacement in the Democratic Party. It's a if you go after the king, you best not miss moment, right? And obviously Zoran has a lot of work cut out for him. He has a very shitty job that he won resoundingly. And now the hard part will begin in terms of governance, in terms of continuing his agenda, delivering on his promises, because he understands that his performance is going to determine whether or not the left flank of the Democratic Party can actually prove that they can deliver on their agenda and be resoundingly popular and potentially take out more and more establishment Democrats and deliver for the people. Okay? Sorry to say this, but you need black progressives to win against Jeffries. Okay, Chi Ossé is black. He's been in the he's not only a HasanAbi head, but he's been on my stream. Okay? That doesn't matter in this situation. So the reason why I think they're worried is twofold. Because a lot of people actually just hear, oh, you shouldn't run because Hakeem Jeffries is going to be vindictive against the left flank and unseat whatever left flank candidates that he can. That's going to happen no matter what. The actual reason why I think Zoran and AOC and others are afraid is because they're worried that this is going to be a poor performance and cut away at the momentum that the left has gotten so far. Okay? That is the reason why they are afraid. They're not necessarily just afraid of rocking the boat, even though that is a consideration, but they're also afraid that this will be a nationally publicized race, and it will be seen as proof that establishment Democrats still have power and that the left flank is not actually super popular. But as far as Hakeem Jeffries' national performance goes, this most likely will be the least popular he ever will be. So if you want to unseat someone like that, if you want to take out a major enemy of progress, a major enemy of the left flank of the party, this might be the most opportune time to do so. And I think that is another reason why Chi's interested in doing it. Building on the momentum that existed from Zoran, and then on top of that, actively trying to unseat hurdles against the progressive flank of the party. However, the DSA is also not as well funded as a machine, and they probably have different considerations, like why don't we spend our efforts on easier wins rather than a heavily publicized national race. So basically it's a gamble, and it's a big one. Okay? It is a major gamble, and that is the reason why a lot of people are conflicted on this issue. I have said already that if you are going after an establishment candidate, I will stand by your side. So, of course, I understand these considerations, but I still think that Hakeem Jeffries is always going to be an enemy of the left, an enemy of progress, and therefore trying to go after him and trying to unseat him isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's my attitude, at least. Hold on, let me just try to reposition this camera because the sunlight is too crazy right now. I think that ultimately running against Hakeem is also a good thing, because this is the only way that you can move politicians on any issue whatsoever. And I do think that Chi Ossé's run against Hakeem Jeffries, in the worst case scenario, will still cause Hakeem Jeffries to take a more pro-left position. Like, it will force Hakeem Jeffries to be more open to the left. Now, how real that or what that will look like, I do not know, or how real that will be, I do not know. But I do know that he will take that position. It's the same as like unions, right? Even the threat of collective action or the threat of a labor union forming immediately causes the managers to reconsider the wages, and your wages immediately go up. That's such cope, man. No. That's not cope. This is just reality. I'm simply stating I don't know if that's going to lead to any tangible policies. I don't think it will. but he will at least present himself as more progressive. That's just always how it goes. I think that I don't know what Chi's like background looks like in terms of Oppo, but the problem is not having Zoran Mamdani on his side and not having AOC on his side is going to make this impossible. It was already a big gamble to begin with. And it's already quite difficult of an undertaking. And that is the reason why the DSA is conflicted on it. But I think I gave you guys a fairly decent assessment of why the different camps are moving in the way that they are moving. I do not think Hakeem Jeffries is a good politician. I do not think that he is good for progress. I do not think he's good for even the Democratic Party in general. Okay? But none of that matters in this situation in terms of the calculations that AOC and Zoran and many others on the left flank are doing. I don't get it. Zoran was polling at 1% when he started. What is the difference? There are major differences. Zoran was going after an incumbent mayor that was deeply unpopular, that had tremendous controversy surrounding him, and although it was a crowded primary field, ultimately all he had to do in this situation was to make a name for himself, to present himself as a solid alternative to the other progressive candidates. Hakeem Jeffries is incredibly popular in his district, and you have to win your district. This is a congressional race. Hakeem Jeffries' approval rating is 75% or some shit in his own district. A lot of you don't understand that. A lot of you don't realize that. Also, Zoran had a much longer commitment. Zoran Mamdani had a much longer history and a much longer commitment to the DSA, the New York DSA infrastructure, than Chi Ossé had. This is devoid of the experiences New York City DSA comrades have had with Chi over the years, and devoid of the real debates New York City DSA comrades have had over Chi's endorsement vote. I know the debates, okay? I know more than I'm letting on, all right? Calm down. It's one of my least favorite things. In theory, I do love the caucus structure of the DSA because it's infinitely more democratic, but in practice it annoys me and I become a Stalinist. It's good to keep things... It's good to keep internal divisions internal, okay? It's fine if you're going to constantly engage in critique and constantly engage in... It's not drama. It's a reality of organizing. It's a reality of developing a political movement, okay? This is a major... It's a major issue. Well, the Stalinist caucus agrees with you? Yeah, of course they do. Yeah. But I hate when that shit comes out, okay? Just keep it to yourself, okay? Keep it within the internal structure of the organization. There is no need for outsiders to be privy to this kind of conversation. It's one of the most annoying things of all time. Y'all are watching a fake socialist, by the way. Yes, exactly. Yes, I'm a fake socialist. I'm not even a part of the DSA, so... Anyway, personal point of privilege video? No, that's not even what I'm talking about. This is more consequential than that. That stuff is just lame. That stuff is just whack. It's lame, whatever. But what I'm talking about is that there are a fuck ton of different ideological delineations within the DSA structure, within the caucus structure. We've actually briefly talked about it before. I've shown you some of the caucuses. And the issue is that there is a lot of internal division amongst them in terms of what to do, who to endorse, what kind of considerations that endorsement has, who to unendorse, who to stop promoting. There are people who, for example, obviously always wanted to continue aligning with AOC, even after AOC did a bunch of things or said a bunch of things that the DSA completely disagreed with. And some people were like, well, it doesn't really matter. We should still endorse her. We should still continue being a part of her. We should still continue promoting her and associating ourselves with her because obviously she's a nationally prominent politician and fairly popular, and this actually boosts the DSA profile. Then there were people internally within the DSA that were saying, okay, but if we have no fucking values, then what difference are we making within the Democratic Party at all. If we're just going to always allow politicians to concede on demands, then we have no fucking demands whatsoever. And that politicians, even amongst our own ranks, could just come in, use this as a fucking door knocking operation, and then cast us aside willy nilly. This is a real fucking issue, right? That's a real issue. Anyway, those are all fair concerns, but ultimately it's better to not have those concerns be made public. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Hey man, stop airing our dirty laundry. This is already dirty laundry. It's not even dirty laundry. This stuff has been discussed openly, obviously, and the outcome is revealed. So it's not like it's airing the dirty laundry here. And here it is. This is where borrowing a party model from the Second International is killing the DSA. Just my opinion. Okay, we're gonna stop talking about this now. That this is the most inside baseball. We're now literally fucking talking about the organizational methods of the Democratic Socialists of America, okay? It is, in my opinion, one of the most successful, if not objectively the most successful socialist organization in the country. I do not have, I am org agnostic, as you guys know, ultimately, but the reality is their methods, their techniques, and their success speaks for itself. They have much less of the same cultish issues that plenty of other more radical socialist organizations run into. Yes, it's a fucking nuisance to constantly have these back and forth debates, but ultimately it's a fucking big tent, okay? Yeah, see? DSA aren't socialists, though. I know, brother. I know. You are the real socialists. They are the fake socialists. Anyway, I feel like Jasmine Crockett is actually fighting for us. Please platform her more like you did for Mamdani. This got to be a joke, right? Do you mean Summer Lee? Or is this like a racist moment from this chatter? Because that's a joke, I assume. That's bait, right? No, we are serious. We want you to platform her. Jasmine Crockett. I feel like Chuck Schumer is fighting for us. Let's platform Chuck more. Anyway, Michael Lange. Ossé versus Jeffries would be cinema. Jeffries remain popular in his majority black district. Mamdani clearly unhappy. How will others react? Slim path to victory, 10 to 15%. Ossé needs to run up the score in Bed-Stuy and make inroads in Canarsie and ENY. I'll have more to say soon. So yeah, Chi Ossé, a far-left city councilman aligned with the policies of Zohran Mamdani, the mayor-elect of New York City, has told political allies that he's planning to challenge Representative Jeffries, the top House Democrat, in next June's primary. Okay? And the oppo is already coming out. New left-wing congressional hopeful Chi Ossé has spoken about how voting for Bernie Sanders in the 2016 primary was a formative experience for him. There's just one problem. Ossé wasn't even registered to vote in that presidential primary. Canarsie. I don't know how to say it. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm not from New York. You already know that. I'm from Chengdu. Okay? I'm from Chengdu, China, from the Sichuan province. Okay? I am not from New York City. From the New York province, under the protectorate of Kathy Hochul, New York Oblast. The revelation comes at an awkward time for Ossé as he's seeking endorsement for his congressional run for the Democratic Socialists of America, which counts Sanders as one of his most prominent champions. We already know Mamdani and AOC sympathizes. They just need convincing. I mean, they very clearly have staked their position even before this came out, seemingly, because you don't actually come to this conclusion, on the moment. There was already New York Times reporting on this stuff. All right, let's get into it. Let's hear what they have to say.
All right, well, likely encouraged by the success of Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, New York City staring down the very likely prospect of many of its leaders in Washington.
Listen, groundwork gave me a labubu when I was at the fucking the DSA conference. So I'm obviously I have my biases. Let's just say I have the groundwork DSA lafufu on my backpack, on my streaming backpack, as you guys know. We just saw how Zohran forced the hands of people that swarm off. I agree. Here, I'm going to be very honest with you. The only way this changes around is if Chi is able to make decent ground early on and prove that he can be a serious contender against Hakeem Jeffries and actually bring back Zoran and AOC and all these other people, while simultaneously explaining to them that Hakeem Jeffries is going to rat fuck them regardless, and rat fuck the left regardless of whether or not there is a serious competition. The issue is, in the absence of that, if he is incapable of proving that he is serious, if he's incapable of showing that he can win, it's going to be impossible. Because there's no way, I'll be honest, I don't think there's any way that that Chi makes it out. Chi makes it out of this situation without help from not only the DSA, but also even Zoran and AOC. But in order to secure their help, in order to secure their endorsement and their help, I think he has to basically explain. He has to basically show them and prove to them that he can do this, which is very difficult. Did the audio just change a bit? Volume went way down. Wait, really? Wait, oh, because I was speaking directly into the microphone and I'm not now. Keep it to yourself, positive. I mean, I am supporting Chi. Having said that, I have to be serious about my analysis as a political commentator first and foremost. He has to show them a plan towards victory like Zoran did with AOC. It's bad tactically and strategically, in my opinion. It weakens the coalition for 2026. No, I don't agree with that. I mean, I understand why you are running scared. I get that. Ultimately, I think the fear is that this will make the left look disorganized and a spoiler for the liberals that are currently looking at the left as a viable alternative. But on the national side, because Hakeem Jeffries is objectively unpopular, like unimaginably unpopular with the base of support on the national front, this actually isn't a bad thing. If you're thinking nationally, this is a good thing. If you're thinking in terms of the congressional seat victory itself, it's very difficult. Nationally, this is a great thing. Chi Ossé will get, I think, a lot more support from your district that way. His 3 big potential endorsements were all long shots, so they probably, personally, not going to hate too much. No, they already have come out and said, no, he shouldn't do this. First, they gave teasers to the New York Times. First, obviously, Zoran's team, or maybe, Zoran's team very clearly leaned into the New York Times, and there was a brief blip in the New York Times a couple weeks prior to this, before Ossé even came out officially. There was a little bit of a afterthought in a New York Times article, and people were speculating. Okay, Hakeem's district voted for Mamdani, right? That is a clear signal that is winnable for Chi. Hakeem Jeffries' district voted for Zoran Mamdani in spite of Hakeem Jeffries' endorsement, but that doesn't necessarily mean they won't vote for Hakeem Jeffries. That's very different. Voting for Zoran Mamdani in spite of a non-endorsement from Hakeem Jeffries does not mean anything when Hakeem Jeffries himself is running. Is Jeffries even popular in his district? Yes. Yes. If Hakeem Jeffries was as unpopular as Chuck Schumer is, okay, then this would be a much different consideration. To be fair, Jeffries never won a competitive race. He can be beaten. This is also true. Having said that, however, it's going to be quite difficult because you're not considering who Hakeem Jeffries is and what he means to especially the most reliable voting bloc that often goes to more establishment figure Democrats. I think you're not considering how popular Hakeem Jeffries is with the largest chunk of voters in his own district. Okay, especially older black voters, lifelong Democrats who really love that the Democratic Party has a speaker, the highest, the most powerful Democrat in the country is a black man. That's huge. That's a big deal. That's representational politics. Like, think about it. For me, I see fucking 34-year-old Muslim socialist. I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. Running for mayor of New York is an exciting moment for me. Beyond his ideology, beyond what he said he was going to do. Is Chi not black? Yes, he is. But he's not the fucking speaker. Hello? He's not the most powerful Democrat. He is unseating the most powerful Democrat in the country. So he's Chinese. Okay, shut up. We're not talking about that. He's partially Chinese, yes. Chatters think if he beats Hakeem, he becomes speaker. Yeah, that's not how that works. Just like AOC beating Joe Crowley didn't make her the treasurer of the Democratic Party. Chatters. Joe Crowley was the third most powerful Democrat in the country in an uncontested seat. AOC was able to sneak into that primary and unseat him. She did not magically become the treasurer of the Democratic Party. That's not how this works. The party's own infrastructure is different. It's not determined by elections. Obviously, if that was the case, AOC would have at least become the fucking head of the oversight committee. Here's Chi talking about Hakeem's popularity on your stream back in July.
A lot of love in New York, like even from like libs and folks in the center. But Hakeem still has like a, in the district that he represents, and we have some overlap. People love him. A lot of people do like him. I think there is a sizable amount of folks who have their issues, but older black folks in Bed-Stuy and Canarsie love him. Yeah.
I'm truly shocked. I'm more so shocked at Nancy Pelosi because Hakeem Jeffries was groomed by Nancy Pelosi to be this person, right? Like he's Nancy Pelosi's like hand-selected speaker. And it is actually surprising because like as much as I despise Nancy Pelosi, like he lacks everything that she had, whether it be whipping power or whether it be like, behind closed doors, a deal making. Like I don't like Nancy Pelosi, but I don't like her because of ideological differences, ideological disagreements. But like I would never, ball. But I would never say that she is not like a good politician. Like
How do you think she would be navigating this right now, though?
I would come to him and punch him out. This is my mom. I would pay to see that.
Hakeem Jeffries is very weak. And I think that should be Chi's main line of attack. That he is nationally unpopular, but also on top of that, he's very weak and he's not a good enough fighter. And we need a fighting party. We need Democrats to fight like hell. Actually really stick it to the Republicans, right? What is this? You wouldn't say that to his face? Hakeem's face? I couldn't because my knees would grow weak. My underwear would fall. I would be overcome with sexual desire. Hakeem Jeffries' sensual figure would absolutely destroy me. His presence, his aura, his sexual prowess. I would be overcome with emotion. First, excitement, and then ecstasy. As a national figure in the party, he's weak, but as a local politician, he's very popular. It's half the battle. Chi is crushing his popularity locally, and then he also has to offer virally popular policy positions Jeffries not able to mimic and take on himself. Yes. Yeah, he has. Hakeem Jeffries has conqueror's hockey, and he would use it on me. He would cook me. I, too, am sexually attracted to cardboard boxes. Okay, well, you're joking, but I'm being serious. All right, I got to pee.
Getting serious about primary challenges.
Yeah, and it goes all the way to the top with a city councilman poised to challenge Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. Our senior political reporter, Henry Rossoff, live for us at City Hall with what you knew what you need to watch out for. We thought that maybe AOC would primary Chuck Schumer, but there might be others.
Yeah, well, that primary would be years down the line. We're talking about congressional primaries next year, and candidates already coming out of the woodwork, both in style and substance, copying Mayor-elect Mamdani. And as you say, this goes all the way to challenging the top Democratic leader in the country right now.
I'm New York City Council member Chi Ossé, and this is my new series, Why Not Working?
Known for his edgy and engaging social media videos filmed around the city that look and sound a lot like
We're going to get to the bottom of this.
Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani's, now Brooklyn Councilman Chi Ossé, a big backer of Mamdani, is trying to capitalize on his momentum work to run for Congress against Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, although he's stopped short of a formal announcement. Leader Jeffries seemed confident when asked about the potential challenge.
Come on in, the water is warm.
If anything, the water is downright hot across the city. Ossé is the leading edge of a wave of left-leaning Democrats, some aligned with the Democratic Socialists of America, looking to seize congressional power. In addition to the challenge Jeffries is facing in Brooklyn's 8th congressional district, Dan Goldman in New York 10 is expecting a challenger. Grace Meng in New York 6 in Queens has a primary challenger, as does Richie Torres out of New York 15 in the Bronx.
Hakeem Jeffries, Dan Goldman, Grace Meng, who are squarely in their prime, who have very effective constituent services and have a strong record of public service. It is tough to make an argument against them.
All of this Democratic infighting will unfold during the first few months of the Mamdani administration early next year. And just yesterday, the incoming...
Yeah, he's worried that this is going to not only make things more difficult for him in New York politics, it's going to make things more difficult for him in terms of like his governance. It's just too much controversy. He doesn't want to rock the boat at all. I'm putting an early parlay for Hakeem to use Hasan as a way to take down Chi. Oh yeah, that'll definitely happen for sure. I mean, that they'll try it, but it's not. I mean, obviously, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't actually work. I think it's incorrect to comment on this at all. He's shanking his left flank way too early. Yeah, I think that's because Zoran is somewhat green. I will say that. Okay, I will say that. I think Zoran is kind of green, and that is the reason why they tried to nip this in the bud instead of seeing how it plays out. Because I think he thought, instead of seeing how this plays out, I think he just wanted to stop it from happening at all because he was worried. Chi would also basically be a New York City DSA proxy versus the Dems. NYDSA would be putting in a lot of hard work for a very, very hard election, harder than versus Cuomo. Some people are worried that means leaving other local elections short-staffed. Exactly. No, that's precisely what the internal consideration is. It's whether or not this actually cuts the wind off the sails of this now growing momentum, because now you look like a spoiler, right? It's not impossible Zoran and Jeffries have made a deal in the primary for Jeffries to not endorse Cuomo or something similar. Obviously, who knows? But it could be the calculation. Okay, well, who gives a shit? That was behind closed doors.
They're through cold water on the idea of Ossé challenging Jeffries.
I believe that there are many ways right here in New York City to both deliver on an affordability agenda and take on the authoritarian administration in the White House.
But his attempts to pick and choose who gets a primary challenger may be in vain.
The DSA is on a hunt to take out as many incumbent establishment Democrats as possible.
A spokesman for Congressman Goldman told me of the prospect that he and others could face serious primary challenges, says this is really not the time and place for Democrats, especially on the national level, when they're trying to regain one of the three seats of power, and namely they're thinking their best chances in the House. So he said in the era of Trump, this doesn't seem appropriate to him. That being said, he fully expects a challenge, just like the...
Yeah. Here is where is it? Oh, here's a Pix 11 exclusive that Zoran gave, where he basically specifically demanded that Chi not do this.
As you've seen, your election has created a lot of buzz. Now that the midterms are underway, that seems to be the focus, but your name...
Do you believe Zoran thinks Chi might be better served working with him in his current position too? No, that's not. There are a million incredibly talented people begging to fucking work in the Zoran admin. That's not a thing. Not to say that she wouldn't be great in whichever position he would get. No, the main consideration is what I told you. I'm telling you exactly what it is. I'm literally spelling it out for you. I know for a fact, okay? It is the incredible difficulties of being the New York mayor and the allegiances that you need to fucking set so that you can even be the mayor, okay? So that you can even do the please stop joke, Chi and Zoran. What are you talking about? We're talking about Chi Ossé, man, not Xi Jinping. We're talking about New York politics, okay? Calm down. It's fears of doing the job without having all of these allies, or rather having them develop tremendous amounts of resentment against you, and you need those people. Let's be fucking real, right? But it's also like Zoran, I think, understands that he represents something greater than himself. It's not just about being a good mayor for New York, even though that is a major consideration, but it's also about delivering on an agenda to the best of his ability, no matter how modest or how incremental these gains might be. And that actually represents a movement, right? That actually represents proof, and proof that the left flank of the party could actually be successful and deliver on the promises that they made. And therefore, that opens up the floodgates for more and more left flank candidates to unseat establishment and institutional Democrats.
It's created a lot of buzz. Now that the midterms are underway, that seems to be the focus, but your name is still being dragged into the midterms, right? Let me talk about Hakeem Jeffries for a moment, who now may face a challenge from Chi Ossé, who is a member of the DSA. You said that there are local issues that Mr. Ossé should be focused on, maybe should remain a councilman. Are you saying he should not run against Hakeem Jeffries?
No, I'm saying that I think the focus should be right here on New York City. I respect the work that Councilmember Ossé has done in the council.
But what does that mean? Should he not run?
I think that right now is not the time to be engaging in that kind of a primary. I think the focus should be on delivering on this affordability agenda.
And what do you make of your name kind of being pulled into this? You know, for example, Dan Goldman versus Brad Lander, and whether or not that's going to be a thing with Alexa Aviles, who is a member of the DSA. Folks saying, well, Mr. Mamdani is going to support Mr. Lander. Does he have your support?
You know, I haven't made any formal endorsements in any of these races. And I think, you know, I had the other day someone reach out to me and say, I didn't know you were considering that person for a commissioner. And I was like, I didn't know I was either. There's a lot of things that I'll read in the newspaper, which will be news to me as well.
Yeah.
And I think...
Fucking hell, dude. Holy shit. Again, he has a lot of considerations at play here. I don't know how you dance around this subject, because that would be a story in and of itself. And it would, no matter what, his lack of endorsement would be a story given how close they are, right? Ideologically, and also just close in general. This is the annoying and shitty aspect of politics. I think there's the fact that Chi Ossé did so much to help create Zoran's platform with his team. Now that Zoran's going to be in power, maybe this isn't the time to leave the place where much of that platform will have to be enacted for a quixotic primary campaign against a politician who's unpopular in America but popular in his district. Yeah, this is not the same kind of primary. It's not. I think the best thing that Zoran could have done in this situation was to just, you know, say, hey, I can't be thinking about this right now. Okay? I can't be thinking about this right now. I can't be thinking about this right now. Him not endorsing Lander is crazy work. No, it's because, again, this is New York City DSA internal politics to a certain degree. Brad Lander left New York City DSA. I like Brad Lander, for the record. I think he's great. But he left New York City DSA after October 7. And outside of that, there is a DSA candidate on that race. There is a DSA candidate that is most likely going to run for that seat. And that is the reason why he is not doing that. Yeah, the DSA pick is likely Aviles. Alexa Aviles is endorsed. Jeffries is also just a House rep, 2 years, and you can take down Big Dog again once Zoran gets love for administrative success. It's New York City DSA. It's New York City DSA politics taking place here, and that's the reason. I don't even think Brad Lander has officially. I don't think Brad Lander has officially come out and stated that he's running yet, right? Aviles, not, it's one L. Sorry, I said the name wrong. I want to know why Lander isn't planning to run for governor and unseat Hochul or something. My God, seems far more advantageous for a target for him to aim for. Even if that was a consideration, you can't do that right now. You can't say that right now. Like Zoran can't say that right now.
What New Yorkers should know is that every day I wake up and I think about the affordability agenda. I think there will always be an attempt to make it a story about something else, but the most important thing is,
and there's a different challenger for governor
Do
anyway.
you see it as a moment for the DSA as a whole, as they now chart to challenge some of these institutionalized names? Do you see it as a moment?
I think the moment in this time right now for members of New York City DSA and New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs is the opportunity to fulfill the agenda that brought so many into politics, which is how do we make life easier for working people? That's what has animated so many for so long. Now the difference is we have the opportunity to deliver on it.
And a couple rapid fire, because I know we're nearing the end here. I know you've been asked this.
I'll say is as DSA as Hasan is, not wrong. I mean, he's more DSA than I am, but I get the point that you're trying to make. Having said that, there are definitely caucuses within the DSA that's looking positively at going after Hakeem Jeffries.
A million times, are you moving into Gracie Mansion? And when will you make the determination?
I have to make that decision with my wife, but as soon as we do, we will let you know.
If you don't, are you staying in that one bedroom?
That's probably where I would be if I didn't go, but we haven't.
Your chat got fucking weird since you've been in China? I don't think so. What do you mean? This is understandable diversity of opinion on an issue like this. This is exactly how my chat would be in a circumstance like this. We're not going to be instantly united on something, especially as like this is super close to many people. Many people that are in this community are straight up in these rooms, in these caucuses, within the New York City DSA infrastructure. They're not.
And also for the swearing in, do you have any who's going to be there?
I have to be honest, I don't even know what I'm doing in the next 30 minutes. So I don't know.
I know what you're doing.
I don't know about the swearing in as yet.
And lastly, I got to get in a question because this is big. I know you're a soccer fan.
Yes.
World Cup. I'm also a soccer fan.
All right, the rest of this is whatever. Your subreddit is brutal, Mamdani. They think he's a lib because he won't commit to firing cop boss. Insufferable. Who cares? So I think the major thing here, from my perspective, is like this is the whole point. This is the entire point. The Democratic Party is nationally weaker than it's ever been. Hakeem Jeffries is nationally an incredibly weak candidate for good reasons. He is a very powerful candidate for the congressional race, obviously. He's very popular in his district. Having said that, it's a gamble, for sure. Even with Zoran, AOC, Bernie Sanders' triple endorsement from the start, it would still be a very difficult race to win. Make no mistake. And it's virtually impossible without their help. Having said that, this is supposed to be the whole point, right? In the absence of a viable third-party alternative, this is supposed to be what we are doing. This is what Zoran did as well. Now, of course, the situation was very different because that race was, there was a dead-in-the-water incumbent, right? So that was a much different mayoral race if you are looking just at the race itself and not the larger trend lines and larger consequences of what a victory like that would spell. But yeah, Michael Lange is not wrong about his assessment where he said there's a 10 to 15% shot right now for victory for Chi Ossé. Power map, Chi Ossé's primary challenge of Hakeem Jeffries is the natural next step for DSA Zoran victory, and he can win. Aaron from Queens says, respectfully disagree with this. There's no analysis of vote margins. Using raw vote totals is less helpful. The era of Operation Power is sadly over. Should be relied on for a field plan. There is not many votes in Brighton Beach. Zoran lost Coney Island by 30 points. The easiest way to take Chi and DSA to a historic win is to rely only on these northern precincts, picking up 17,000 votes in AD 55, 56, 57. However, part of the reason to run this race is that we have an opportunity to expand and grow on that coalition by running a robust, well-trained, and unrelenting ground game across the district by reactivating the dormant Operation Power Coalition. Okay, this is so inside baseball. You are still that fat little rich boy deep down inside? What the fuck? Dude, it's so weird watching a YouTube video with you talking and switching over to Twitch. Dude, let's watch some copium about Ossoff taking the lead, Lamau. Maybe this shows that your analysis is not the best. I'm just saying. Professionally wrong chatters coming in to be wrong over and over again in the chat. Is Zoran a fighter because he's showing a little belly? A little bit. But yeah, it has to get tiring dick riding people who are always wrong like this chatter. No, I think as long as they have a sense of community amongst other professionally wrong people, they're pretty happy. It's not like anybody ever calls into question their political analysis. They're fucking anonymous. Also, the youngest person ever to be elected in New York City Council is earned plaudits for an impressive understanding of new media, beating back Central Brooklyn's atrophying Democratic machine. Also, he won his council seat 4 years ago with little institutional support, a guerrilla effort of door knocking, creating mailers, and millennial-focused social media. His chief legislative accomplishment, the FAIR Act, which prohibits the act of charging tenants for the fees of a broker retained by the landlord, was one of the most renter-friendly and impressive legislative accomplishments over the past few years. This is a huge deal, by the way, and it speaks to what he can do with even the limited amount of power that he has. Armed with robust communicative instincts, Ossé's future is undeniably bright. 27-year-old talent that could easily raise millions of dollars and galvanize scores of volunteers. Nonetheless, Ossé is choosing one of the steepest hills to climb, given Hakeem Jeffries has remained powerful fixture of Brooklyn politics for 2 decades. Jeffries ran for state assembly twice versus incumbent Roger Green, ironically the young corporate lawyer campaigning on the top choice of the urban rides, but lost both times only to luck into a vacancy with Green, foolhardily ran for Congress. As a legislator, Jeffries played a key role in the passage of several criminal justice reform bills, while his campaign coffers remained flush with funds from Wall Street and corporate law networks. Mike from PA believes in Chi more than you do. No, I believe in him. I'm supporting him. I'm simply saying that it's a tough race, which it is. I don't even care about the internal division in New York City DSA about Chi Ossé. And I don't think Michael from Pennsylvania would disagree with me on how tough of a race this actually is. He recognizes it too. I'm sure he's just hopeful. He's hopeful that because this is a very impactful race. This has the capacity to really kick into high gear. If this was successful, and only time will tell whether or not the chances will improve. Obviously, the early hits from his closest allies is not a great start. But if successful, this would be an incredible change. I would go so far as to say this could potentially be more consequential than even Zoran's mayoral run for the future of the left flank. I think that, like I said, I wish that Zoran didn't actually immediately go, don't do this. Like, even if that was his analysis, there is no fucking reason for him to say, don't run publicly. No reason whatsoever. Because, like, the lack of endorsement speaks for itself. He has more power and more prominence than he thinks he has. And these guys fucking despise him, regardless of what they say behind closed doors. Hakeem Jeffries and the establishment Democrats. They see him as a threat regardless. But because he has more power and more prominence and more influence in the national side, like the National Democratic Party's base of support, one of the most popular Democrats almost instantly, especially paired up with the fact that Hakeem Jeffries basically didn't fucking endorse him until the very last moment. And even then, it was like the lightest, shittiest endorsement of all time. He has every opportunity in the situation to just not say anything and then let that no endorsement speak for itself and then see which way the wind blows and then lean into that direction if he was going to be tactical about it. You know? Do I like China more than New York City? Yes. But it depends on which city you're talking about. Okay. Maybe to distance himself from Chi, it makes it look like they aren't undermining Hakeem, but that would be some real long con shit. No, but it doesn't. I understand that is the reason why he's doing it. But, like, no matter what Hakeem Jeffries has told him behind closed doors, like, it doesn't matter. He is going to always oppose the agenda of progress. Hakeem Jeffries' position and the reason for why he's in the position of power that he is in the Democratic Party is because he is anti-left. He's anti-progressive. More so than fucking Nancy Pelosi was even. Like, openly contentious to that kind of politics. He's Mr. Corporate Donation. He's Mr. APAC. It's ridiculous to even stand by his side in any way, shape, or form. No matter what kind of a tactical decision you're making, it's still, he's going to fuck you and others like you. In local politics, Jeffries maintains a lower profile. He's repeatedly sparred with New York City DSA, whom a spokesperson and transplant himself is referred to as team gentrification. Yeah, that's how they call it all the time. Jeffries also counts relatively few tried and true allies. Compared to his congressional contemporaries such as AOC and Nydia Velázquez, he eschewed aligning himself with Eric Adams, who concurrently rose through Black Brooklyn politics, but took a hands-off approach with respect to the mayor's myriad of scandals. Democratic leader sat out the Democratic primary for mayor, only issuing a tepid endorsement of Zoran once the result was beyond doubt. The Brooklyn representative remains closely allied with organized labor, the governor, and the state's congressional delegation. Most importantly, for the purpose of the discussion, Jeffries remains well-liked throughout his majority Black working and middle-class district. Yep. New York's 8th congressional district spans more than a dozen neighborhoods in Brooklyn, stretching from gentrifying Clinton Hill and Bedford-Stuyvesant through many of the city's preeminent Black communities, low-income Brownsville and East New York, middle-class Canarsie and Flatlands. The southern Brooklyn portion, which includes Sheepheads Bay, Gravesend, Brighton Beach, and Coney Island, remains a sizable geographic portion, home to many more politically conservative immigrants from the former Soviet Union who scarcely contribute in Democratic primaries. Hence, the vast majority of the Democratic primary electorate in New York 8 comes from either the district's left-leaning gentrifying pockets, college-educated renter majority, younger, or its predominantly Black neighborhoods, diverse class character, older, less college-educated, where politics is less ideological but more centered on institutions and relationships. In the Democratic primary for mayor, Zoran Mamdani defeated Andrew Cuomo 58% to 44% across the 8th congressional district. That number is a terrifying one, I think, for Chi. It's not a great number for Chi. Mamdani won by trashing Cuomo in both Clinton Hill and Bedford-Stuyvesant, 76% to 24%, blanketing the tree-lined brownstone blocks of central Brooklyn with enthusiastic canvassers, while maxing young voter turnout with sharp messaging and attentional hegemony to voters under the age of 45. Mamdani was ubiquitous. Leaks from the DSA meeting. Oh, yeah, there is a new mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani will personally attend New York City DSA candidate forum to try to convince the socialist organization not to endorse City Council member Chi Ossé's planned bid against House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Zoran is currently speaking at the DSA forum. As expected, Zoran is encouraging DSA members not to endorse Chi Ossé's congressional primary challenge against Hakeem Jeffries. He says the most important thing for the left right now is to deliver on the agenda he ran on, and endorsing Ossé could jeopardize that. What makes Chi different from Hakeem is his energy. Older libs won't be as apprehensive as someone from the community. That's who Hakeem was back then. Convincing white people is another issue? No. Convincing white people for Chi Ossé is not a problem. Not even remotely a problem. I know for a fact that it's not convincing white people. White people would love to vote. Like the college-educated gentrifiers, ironically enough, they were Zoran's base as well. And they will be Chi's base as well. It's going to be the older Black voters that are the most reliable voting bloc, especially in the primaries. That he's still mad that Chi backed the other guy for mayor in primary. What are you talking about? Chi Ossé was they did the dual endorsements and stuff, but he was literally Zoran's guy. You're wrong about that. It has nothing to do with that. I'm telling you how it is, straight up. I promise you. I think if Chi Ossé had the same exact policies as a white dude, it would be over anyway. But I think him being Black makes it easier for him to convince the boomers. However, it will still be very difficult because Hakeem Jeffries is not only from the community, but also a Black man with a lot of power in the Democratic Party. That plays a big role in representational politics, especially for the reliable Black boomer voting bloc. That's huge. Either way, it's a win-win for Dems. People need to see rising stars alongside the leader earning his bones. Yeah, I think the scared narrative here, the fearful narrative here, is that people think that he's gonna. He will demand too much attention and separate all these other races that the DSA is going to be pushing on. And also on top of that, he would, if he lost convincingly in the primaries, then that makes the left momentum look bad. It basically cuts the wind from the sails of this like broader left flank takeover. That's it. I think it's not strategic, but that is why I said it's like he signed it. Oh, Trump signed it. Yeah. AOC says also that Jeffries' primary challenge is not a good idea. The Epstein bill has been signed, ladies and gentlemen. I wonder what we will see from said Epstein bill. I think winning against Hakeem is kind of impossible. I don't think it's impossible. What does Zoran say? It's always impossible until it's done. President Trump says he signed the Epstein files legislation. I wonder why he didn't make a big show of it and did a lid before signing it. New York politics is very machine-oriented, and he has a political machine behind him. His base is solid, and his base that is more likely to lose than win and draw resources from easier seats. Yes. Madiba said that. Nelson Mandela said that. And Zoran Mamdani said that. Well, he didn't say that. He was just... Bro wrote so much, bro. Jesus Christ. Wow. Donald Trump says he's meeting with Zoran Mamdani, whom he calls a communist mayor, this Friday in the Oval. So stupid. Thanks for educating me on the subject. Can I now repeat back to you your take but pretend it's mine? Yes. Well, don't repeat it back to me, but repeat it to your friends if you want. That's why I give it to you. Deflecting final boss. Do you think the calculation DSA is making on Chi versus the one Zoran is making him could be different? Like Zoran's thinking about successful rep on his policies. DSA is thinking, is this guy actually a socialist? What? For who? For Chi Ossé? Ah, man, this is going to be a tough read. Jesus Christ. Wait, what did he say on Zoran? No, True Social is unavailable. Someone screenshot it and send it to me. Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians, was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures, such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times, Larry Summers, who just resigned from many boards, including Harvard, sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, minority leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged, Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and many more. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed, because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. Hold on. Where the fuck was it? Okay. As everyone knows, I asked the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, very good guy, love Mike Johnson, and Senate Majority Leader John Thune, don't love him as much, to pass this bill in the House and Senate, respectively. Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of passage. At my direction, the Department of Justice has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress. Do not forget, the Biden administration did not turn over a single file or page related to the Democrat Epstein, nor did they ever even speak about him. Democrats have used the Epstein issue, which affects them far more than the Republican Party, in order to try and distract from our amazing victories, including the great, big, beautiful tax cut bill, strong borders, no men and women's sports, or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, lowering prices, biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, ending 8 wars, rebuilding our military, knocking out Iran's nuclear capability, getting trillions of dollars invested in the USA, creating the hottest country anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats on the recent shutdown disaster. For years, our great nation has had to endure Russia, Ukraine, impeachment hoax 1, impeachment hoax 2, and many other Democrat-created witch hunts and scams, all of which have been so terrible and divisive for our country and have been done to confuse, deflect, and distract from the great job that Republicans in the Trump administration are doing. This latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats just as all of the rest have. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. So, how do I feel about this? I think that Trump could not stop this release at all because there was too much momentum boiling. And I think Marjorie Taylor Greene played a big role in that for sure. As much as I despise her, I have to admit, because she is like a true card-carrying MAGA loyalist, a cultist, right? And when you start losing allies, or when you get criticized from your right flank on that front, obviously, especially at a time when all this other stuff that he's talking about is not actually yielding positive results for his base. He's withering away at the margins, like all of the people that weren't firmly invested in the cult. All these people that were not firmly in the Trump cult have been slowly but surely going, okay, dude, you did transgender for everybody, but like, you know, the groceries are still expensive. Electricity bills are skyrocketing. Affordability is not getting any better, right? So who gives a shit? And that's part of the reason why he can't afford to lose the loyalists with a right flank threat. I mean, he was getting destroyed on the Epstein shit too. According to the new Market poll, 57% of Republicans were disapproving of the way Trump has managed it. 73% of men disapprove. 74% of women disapprove. 74% of people overall disapprove. When you lose the majority of your base, the most significant part of that is the Republicans. Republicans approve of everything that Trump does pretty much at 80%, no matter what. The very fact that he had a 57% disapproval on the Jeffrey Epstein stuff meant that he had to fucking do something about it. This is why I kept repeating over and over again that this issue is actually far more consequential than people give it credit for. People do not understand that because this was such a galvanizing factor for like the QAnons of the world, and the fact that like even the average Democrat sees the Jeffrey Epstein stuff as like, or the average Republican sees the Jeffrey Epstein stuff as like one of the only forms of class expression that you see, because it's basically the living, breathing proof of like a lot of these conspiracies, and also the living, breathing proof that billionaires are up to some fuck shit. It ended up being an issue of consequence for him at a time when he is uniquely weak. So he had to do something about it. And this is what he is doing about it. It's very obvious that he is going to position this as, he's going to do his very best to position this as a, what was I going to say? Yeah, he's going to position this as a Democrat thing. It's like, oh, he's going to try to reinstill some sort of partisanship into this conversation, because every time the battle lines are drawn on a partisan, in a partisan manner, people won't be as focused on his own personal associations with Jeffrey Epstein. You understand? And that is why I suspect that we will not be seeing a lot of Trump, potentially anything new of Trump and his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, or even many Republicans for that matter. More details from the closed-door meeting. Closed-door New York City DSA meeting with the groups considering endorsing Chi Ossé's congressional run is underway. Per sources, Ossé said in remarks that Hakeem Jeffries uses race as a shield while he fails to fight fascism. Sources tell me Ossé said he knows there's skepticism in the room. Zohran Mamdani is potentially going to appear to argue against endorsing Ossé, but told DSA members he's committed to fighting for true socialism, to take concrete steps to end the genocide in Gaza. Mamdani has arrived at the meeting and is in line to speak against the idea of endorsing Ossé per sources. So, yeah. Damn, rap fuck by your own boy. Okay, guys, you have to remember, okay? This is the shitty side of being a politician and doing politics. Okay? Like I've said already, my biggest criticism of Zohran here is the fact that he came out with an anti-endorsement, like with the fact that he said, no, you shouldn't do this, and is like actively petitioning to stop Chi from doing this. I think that's a major mistake, and I can still chalk it up to his relative inexperience. I have complex feelings on this race. I like Chi and I strongly dislike Jeffries, but I understand why Zohran can't look like he's supporting this without risking losing the support of Albany. He needs to fund his programs. That's the same reason he's keeping Tish. What do you think? No, that's part of it for sure. I just do not think that this is proof, like this loyalty to establishment Democrats will actually help him get the necessary allies from Albany. and the New York Democratic machine. Do you understand? Like, it's clear that he wanted to stop this from happening because he was like, don't rock the boat. Please don't rock the boat. And you're rocking the boat. But now that the boat is being rocked, coming out against them publicly is I don't think going to win him favors with Albany at all. Like, there's no guarantee that these guys are going to actively support Zohran Mamdani and bring him into the fold and see him as a somewhat more progressive ally firmly within the New York City Democratic Party infrastructure. Bernie didn't endorse AOC when she beat Crowley. Yeah, but that's an entirely different situation. And I don't even know if he didn't endorse AOC, but that's an entirely different situation. AOC was an unknown at a time when there was no like left flank momentum. Justice Democrats had just recently formed. Shouts out to Kyle Kalinske and Cenk Uygur. Okay. My two unks. But that was a surprise victory. Very different. Surprise victories can still happen, especially when the national party is too busy elsewhere. That is where the left has the maximum opportunity. This is not a surprise at all. This is the opposite of a surprise run. There is tremendous amounts of attention from the Democratic Party machine towards left flank candidates that are actively opposing them and trying to fucking run in and take them out of power. Okay? Joe Crowley didn't even fucking run in that primary at all. He was just like, why should I? I've been winning this safe seat year over year. Who's this random bartender? She's not going to do shit. She got no motion. You feel me? Hakeem is weak and unpopular? No. Hakeem Jeffries is weak and unpopular in the national. Hakeem Jeffries is weak and unpopular nationally. But this is not a national race. This is a district race. And Hakeem Jeffries is very popular in his district. You guys are wrong. That's why it's a tough race. When you're nationally unpopular, that's still good for Chi because a lot of progressive younger voters will dump money into your fucking coffers because they want to unseat Hakeem Jeffries. Having said that, however, Hakeem Jeffries is the minority leader. He's the speaker of he is the Democratic Party's most powerful figure right now. He has unlimited funds. He has the entire Democratic Party machine on top of his serious popularity. Yeah, he has a 69 to 72% approval in his own district. There is no comparison between Zohran Mamdani in the primary to Hakeem Jeffries versus Chi Ossé. Partially because Zohran Mamdani won. And that creates a lot more attention. That creates a lot more attention on other primary races for the institutional Dems that don't want that to happen again. Okay? So post Zohran Mamdani victory, there's obviously benefits for left flank candidates to run, but there's also a downside. Do you understand? Anyway, some inside baseball. It is very hard to unseat a high-ranking member, especially a leader, because of how involved they are in getting stuff for their district. We don't think about it, but what they do for their district does matter. Yes, absolutely. And comms with their constituents as well. As a leader, he has infinitely more resources in dealing with his constituents. Yep. Zohran won 39% of the vote in Jeffries' district in the general, and Jeffries won 41% back in 2021. Like, Jeffries is still popular. Yeah. That means if Chi loses, the momentum is torched? I don't think so. But that is the fear that people have. Because the media absolutely will be like, oh, Chi Ossé lost. Obviously, the progressive movement is over. It's done. The voters have decided that they want institutional Democrats, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't matter. It's only consequential if you make it consequential. If you can still overpower through that conversation and point to other victories, it's fine. You'd be saying AOC shouldn't go against Crowley during the primary with this argument? What the fuck? No, it's not the same situation regardless. It's not the same situation at all. Anyway, I'm in support of this because I'm in support of this on principle.